The war had been raging for decades. Alien civilizations spread across countless star systems were locked in endless battles. Entire planets had been scorched, cities reduced to ruins, and generations had grown up knowing only conflict. The skies of countless worlds were streaked with fire from battleships, and the air of every city carried the tension of constant fear. Both sides had become experts at war, each believing they had the advantage, each convinced that victory was within reach. But then something unexpected happened, something no alien had seen coming. Humans arrived. The first humans appeared quietly, almost as if they had been watching the war unfold from a safe distance. Alien scouts first noticed their small spacecraft, drifting at the edge of a heavily contested system. At first, the aliens dismissed them. "Primitive beings," the commanders said. "They have no weapons, no armor, no strategy. They are not a threat." Yet there was something about the humans that made the alien observers uneasy. Unlike the alien species that had dominated these battles, the humans moved with purpose, calm but alert, studying the conflict with curious eyes. Their ships were not large or heavily armed, but they had a strange, efficient design that the aliens could not immediately understand. When humans approached the outer edges of the war zone, they did not attack. They did not send missiles or bombard planets. Instead, they sent signals trying to communicate. Their language was strange, full of sounds and patterns the aliens could barely comprehend. But the intent was clear. They wanted to understand, not to fight, at least not yet. This gesture of restraint confused the alien leaders. In a war, where fear and aggression were standard, a species that appeared unafraid of entering the battle but did not immediately attack was difficult to categorize. The humans observed the alien conflict with remarkable patience. They recorded battle patterns, studied the strengths and weaknesses of alien technology, and noted how troops were deployed. Even when enemy ships fired upon them, humans reacted not with panic, but with precision. Their defensive maneuvers were unlike anything the aliens had seen before. Instead of retreating in fear or attacking recklessly, humans moved in ways that seemed almost creative, responding to danger with a combination of strategy, quick thinking, and calm resolve. Alien commanders began to worry. They had always believed their superiority was unquestionable. Their technology, honed over millennia, had never failed them. Entire fleets had been destroyed with minimal effort. And yet these humans, with their seemingly fragile ships and unknown tactics, were not only surviving, they were learning, adapting, and moving confidently within zones where most aliens would have been destroyed. Even among the frontline alien troops, there was unease. Some whispered that these humans were dangerous in ways that traditional weapons could not measure. They were unpredictable. They did not seem bound by the rigid rules of war that had guided the aliens for centuries. Their courage was unnerving. While alien soldiers often calculated every risk, fearing injury or defeat, humans seemed willing to take chances, to stand firm even in the face of overwhelming odds. Despite the tension, humans remained cautious. They did not immediately enter combat. Instead, they approached the alien fleets, sometimes hovering near battles, sometimes keeping their distance, always watching. Alien scientists and commanders grew obsessed with understanding them. How could such a small, seemingly weak species survive in a universe dominated by advanced technology and ruthless strategy? The aliens began to conduct studies, scanning human ships, analyzing their movements, and attempting to intercept their communications. But the humans were clever. They adapted to every tactic, dodged surveillance, and continued their quiet observation. The more the humans were observed, the more alien societies began to realize that this species was unlike any they had encountered before. They had strength, yes, but not just physical or technological strength. They had something else: determination, courage, and intelligence used in ways that alien minds struggled to predict. Even the way they worked together, protecting one another and solving problems quickly under pressure, was foreign to the alien forces. It was not just the human ships that were impressive. It was their way of thinking, their ability to act in the moment, and their refusal to submit to fear or intimidation. The alien high command convened emergency meetings. Leaders from multiple planets gathered, discussing the implications of human arrival. They are too small to be a threat, one said, and yet they survive. How? Another commander responded. Their behavior is not understandable. They do not fight as we fight. They do not retreat. They do not panic. And worst of all, they learn. The word learn struck a chord of fear. For centuries, aliens had relied on overwhelming force and technological superiority. But humans seemed to turn every disadvantage into an opportunity, every challenge into a lesson. As humans continued to observe and explore, alien populations across the war zones began to notice the changes. Troops reported strange encounters, human ships appearing where they should not have been, humans helping wounded civilians in conflict zones, humans sending signals to stop battles temporarily. Each incident, though small, carried a powerful message. Humans did not fight for conquest or destruction. They fought, if they fought at all, with purpose and intelligence. And that made them terrifying to the alien minds trained only to fight known enemies with known tactics. By the time humans fully revealed their presence, fear had already begun to spread quietly among alien ranks. It was a slow, creeping fear, not of immediate attack, but of the unknown. Aliens realized they had never faced a species like this before. The humans' arrival was not an act of aggression, but the unpredictability and capability of their actions were enough to shake centuries of confidence. Commanders who had once laughed at the idea of alien defeat now found themselves wondering, could humans tip the balance of this war? Could they truly change the course of a conflict that had lasted for generations? For the humans, the observation stage was just the beginning. They had arrived with curiosity, yes, but also with the readiness to act when necessary. The aliens, however, did not yet understand this. To them, humans were a puzzle, a challenge, and a growing threat all at once. And as human ships glided silently through the war-torn space, recording data, protecting civilians and learning, the aliens began to realize something unsettling. A new player had entered the war, and this player was unlike anything they had faced before. By the end of this first stage, the stage was set. Humans were no longer outsiders. They had arrived, observed, and survived. The aliens had begun to feel fear, a fear that would grow in the battles to come. No one yet knew the true power of humans, but every alien soldier and commander sensed that history was about to change. The first real clash between humans and the alien forces happened quietly at first, almost by accident. Human scouts had been observing a routine battle between two alien factions on a barren planet. The aliens, confident in their superior technology, fought with precision and power, each side expecting a swift victory. But the humans who had been hovering at the outskirts noticed something the aliens did not: weaknesses in their strategy. A small human squad moved carefully toward the battlefield, not with large weapons or destructive bombs, but with clever devices that could jam alien communications and redirect energy weapons. The aliens did not notice them at first. They were too focused on each other, following centuries of trained patterns in warfare. But when the humans acted, the effects were immediate. Energy shields flickered, communication links failed, and the alien commanders found themselves confused by interference they could not explain. The humans did not aim to destroy for destruction's sake. Instead, they used precision strikes to create openings. They would disable a key weapon or divert a squadron at the right moment. The aliens were unprepared for this style of fighting. Their battles were calculated, rigid, and based on overwhelming force. The humans, by contrast, moved unpredictably, responding to situations in real time, adapting instantly to challenges. Where the aliens expected panic or retreat, humans showed calm and focus. Word of the human intervention spread quickly among alien soldiers. Reports of the small, brave humans who had disrupted a major battle reached even high-ranking commanders. At first, many dismissed the stories as exaggeration. "They are just lucky," said one officer. "One or two small successes do not change the outcome of a war." But as more reports arrived, describing clever tactics, quick thinking, and fearless action, the disbelief began to turn into worry. The next engagement was more direct. A larger human fleet appeared near a contested system. The aliens tried to confront them immediately, expecting the humans to flee when faced with superior firepower. Instead, the humans stood their ground. They maneuvered their ships in ways the aliens had never seen, dodging attacks with unexpected speed. They used small, clever devices to disable alien weapons temporarily, giving them the chance to retreat or counterattack strategically. For the aliens, it was both fascinating and terrifying. Their scanners and computers, designed to predict and counter enemy movements, struggled to understand human actions. The humans did not follow predictable patterns. They adapted, improvised, and responded with a level of creativity that alien commanders had never witnessed. Soldiers whispered among themselves that these humans were more dangerous than any alien force they had faced. The alien high command began to realize that the humans' greatest strength was not their weapons, but their ability to think differently. While alien armies relied on massive fleets, advanced technology, and strict strategies, humans relied on flexibility, observation, and teamwork. They communicated silently, often using signals and codes that aliens could not detect. Even small squads of humans could outmaneuver much larger alien forces, striking at just the right moment before disappearing into space. As the humans continued to intervene, the aliens faced unexpected losses. Entire units that had been confident of victory were forced to retreat after encountering human forces. Alien pilots reported seeing humans flying into situations they would never risk themselves, yet somehow surviving against all odds. Alien engineers tried to replicate human devices and tactics, but humans adapted faster than the aliens could anticipate. Every new trick the aliens developed was met with an equally clever counter by the humans. Among the alien soldiers, morale began to falter. They were trained to face fear, to fight against odds, and to trust their superior technology, but humans challenged all of these assumptions. "Why do they not fear us?" whispered one alien fighter. "Why do they not panic?" Another replied, "Because they fight differently. They do not fight like us, and that is what makes them dangerous." Fear, small at first, began to spread throughout the ranks. Even alien scientists were concerned. They studied captured human equipment and observed human movements, trying to determine why humans could survive in situations that would destroy alien soldiers. It became clear that humans were not only clever, but resilient. They could repair damaged ships quickly, make tools from whatever was available, and continue fighting even after sustaining injuries or setbacks. This resilience was entirely unfamiliar to the aliens who had relied on technology and numbers rather than improvisation and adaptability. The humans' presence also affected alien strategy. Commanders who had once relied on rigid plans were forced to rethink every battle. They could no longer predict outcomes based on traditional calculations or simulations. Every human encounter introduced uncertainty, and uncertainty in war can be as dangerous as any weapon. Alien troops had been trained to follow orders without deviation, but now they had to question their instructions, unsure if the plan would survive the unpredictable humans' interventions. In one decisive encounter, a human squad was cornered by a much larger alien force on a rocky planet. The humans were outnumbered and outgunned, but they did not panic. Using clever tactics, they created diversions, used the terrain to their advantage, and turned what seemed like a hopeless situation into a small victory. The aliens, observing this, were shocked. How could a few humans achieve what entire alien divisions could not? The story of this encounter spread like wildfire among alien forces, further cementing the growing reputation of humans as unpredictable and formidable opponents. By the end of the battle, it was clear to all sides that the humans were more than just observers. They were active participants, and their methods had changed the dynamics of the war. Alien soldiers who had once considered themselves unbeatable now approached the battlefield with caution. Alien commanders who had relied on centuries of experience and advanced technology now questioned their own assumptions. The war, once predictable and controlled, had become uncertain because of humans. Even the alien populations watching the battles from safe distances began to notice the humans' impact. News of their clever strategies and daring interventions spread quickly. Fear, respect, and curiosity all grew simultaneously. Many aliens began to wonder, if humans were this capable in small numbers, what could they achieve if fully committed? The thought was unsettling. For the first time, aliens felt that victory was not guaranteed, and that these seemingly fragile beings from a distant world could change the course of history. The humans themselves remained calm and deliberate. They did not seek glory or destruction. Every move was calculated, designed to protect the innocent, disrupt unfair advantage, and gain understanding. Yet the aliens saw only the results, their most carefully laid plans being disrupted, their forces confused, and their confidence shaken. The humans' courage, intelligence, and unpredictability were more powerful than any weapon the aliens had ever faced. By the end of this phase of the war, it was clear that the humans had made their mark. The aliens were terrified not just by their skill, but by their resilience, their bravery, and their ability to think in ways no alien could predict. The humans had proven that they could not be ignored, that they were capable of altering the outcome of battles, and that they were willing to act when necessary. The war was no longer just a conflict between alien civilizations. It had become a contest that would be remembered for generations as the moment humans first showed their power and presence. As the war stretched on, the humans began to show an advantage that no alien had ever anticipated. It was not simply the power of their weapons, nor the number of their ships, but the way they adapted to every challenge with intelligence and creativity. Alien commanders had relied on predictable patterns of warfare for centuries, and they assumed every species would respond in the same way. Humans proved them wrong. Every time aliens tried a new tactic or developed a new weapon, humans responded in unexpected ways, often turning disadvantages into opportunities. One of the first signs of human advantage was their ability to repair and reuse damaged equipment. While alien ships often needed extensive repairs at specialized stations, humans could fix critical systems quickly, sometimes in the middle of battle. A small fleet could be hit by enemy fire and yet, within hours, be back in action. Alien engineers were baffled. They could not understand how humans could keep fighting with such efficiency. For them, war was a matter of overwhelming force, but humans treated it as a problem to be solved step by step, using what they had available. Humans also demonstrated an extraordinary ability to learn from experience. In one battle, they noticed a new type of alien weapon being used against them. Rather than panic or retreat, they studied it, analyzed its weaknesses, and within hours, developed a countermeasure. The aliens, who had assumed no other species could adapt so quickly, were alarmed. Their weapon, which had destroyed countless fleets, was suddenly less effective. The humans' ability to adapt, learn, and apply knowledge in real time became their most powerful weapon. Another human strength was teamwork. Alien armies often relied on hierarchy and strict orders. Soldiers followed commands precisely, but were not encouraged to think beyond their assigned roles. Humans, on the other hand, coordinated in ways that seemed almost instinctive. A human squad could divide tasks, cover each other, and improvise solutions on the spot. If one member was injured or a plan failed, another quickly adjusted, filling the gap. This adaptability made them unpredictable and difficult to defeat. Alien soldiers, trained to anticipate rigid tactics, found themselves outmaneuvered at every turn. Alien leaders began to grow concerned as reports of human successes spread. Entire fleets that had been confident of victory found themselves forced to retreat after encounters with humans. Alien generals held emergency meetings trying to understand how this small, untested species could outperform their most experienced soldiers. "It is not their ships or weapons," one general said. "It is their minds. They see possibilities we cannot even imagine." Fear began to creep into the ranks of the alien forces. They were no longer facing a conventional enemy. They were facing something entirely new and unknown. The humans' unpredictability was compounded by their willingness to take risks. Where alien soldiers often calculated every action to minimize danger, humans sometimes acted boldly in situations that seemed hopeless. They would move into areas heavily guarded by alien forces, not recklessly, but with careful planning and a deep understanding of the terrain and technology. These actions often created openings that turned the tide of battle. To the aliens, it seemed reckless, almost foolish, but it worked. Time and again, humans proved that courage combined with intelligence could overcome superior force. Alien. Scientists tried to study captured humans, hoping to understand their resilience. They were puzzled not only by physical endurance but by psychological strength. Humans could remain calm under extreme stress, make rational decisions, and continue fighting even when facing overwhelming odds. The aliens had never encountered a species with this level of mental flexibility. It was not just skill or strength, it was the human's mindset, their ability to remain focused and determined, that made them so effective. Humans also showed compassion and a sense of justice that alien forces found difficult to comprehend. In one encounter, human squads protected alien civilians trapped in a battle zone, even while under attack. They risked their lives not for conquest or revenge, but to save others. The aliens who had grown accustomed to a war where only strategy and power mattered were baffled. This willingness to fight for principles, not just victory, added another layer of unpredictability to the human's presence. It was a quality that inspired fear as well as respect. The aliens' fear grew as humans continued to coordinate larger and more effective operations. Small skirmishes turned into decisive engagements where humans systematically disrupted alien supply lines, communications, and command centers. They did not rely solely on brute force. They used intelligence, innovation, and careful planning. Every alien attempt to predict or control the humans' actions failed. The humans seemed to be several steps ahead at all times, adapting faster than the aliens could respond. Among the alien soldiers, morale began to falter. Stories of human ingenuity and bravery spread quickly through the ranks. Older soldiers, who had fought countless battles and considered themselves invincible, began to doubt their abilities. "These humans are different," said one officer. "They do not follow the rules of war we know. They are clever, fast, and unafraid." Fear and uncertainty, previously rare in the disciplined alien forces, became more common. Commanders realized that human presence could not be ignored, and they began to develop contingency plans specifically for human engagement. Humans also built alliances with smaller alien factions who had grown weary of the larger war. These alliances, based on mutual trust and respect, strengthened the humans' influence. They could now operate in areas that had previously been controlled by hostile alien forces, spreading their tactics and knowledge. The larger alien factions were alarmed. Not only were humans individually effective, but they could also bring together allies in ways that disrupted traditional power structures. Their ability to unite diverse groups added a strategic dimension that the aliens had not anticipated. By this stage of the conflict, it was clear that the humans had shifted the balance. Alien commanders no longer viewed them as outsiders or a minor nuisance. They were a real, formidable presence. The aliens' confidence, built over centuries of technological dominance and structured warfare, had been shaken. Even those who had initially dismissed humans as weak or insignificant began to acknowledge their capabilities. There was a growing sense that the humans could not only survive, but could potentially change the outcome of the war entirely. Humans remained calm throughout this period. They did not boast or seek attention. They acted with purpose and clarity, striking only when necessary, protecting the innocent, and always learning. Their victories were not just measured in destroyed ships or captured territories, but in the influence they had on the aliens themselves. The aliens who had once fought without fear or hesitation were now cautious, uncertain, and wary. Every encounter with humans forced them to rethink their assumptions and strategies. By the end of this stage, humans had firmly established their advantage. Their adaptability, resilience, teamwork, intelligence, and courage had reshaped the battlefield. Alien forces, once confident and unchallenged, now faced a species that could not be predicted or controlled. The humans had proven that they were more than capable of surviving and thriving in a universe dominated by war, and the aliens began to understand that this war would never be the same. The war had reached a critical stage. Alien forces, once confident in their superiority, were beginning to realize that humans were no ordinary opponents. Across multiple star systems, human fleets moved with precision and purpose, striking at points the aliens had assumed were secure. Entire strongholds considered untouchable were suddenly under threat. The aliens had always believed that their technological advantage and sheer numbers would guarantee victory, but humans had demonstrated a combination of adaptability, intelligence, and courage that even the most advanced alien minds struggled to counter. In one decisive engagement, a major alien command center on a rocky, barren planet became the focus of human operations. Alien commanders had fortified it with the most advanced defenses, surrounding it with massive fleets and energy barriers that were considered impenetrable. But humans approached differently than the aliens had expected. Instead of attacking, head-on they studied the defenses, identified weak points, and coordinated multiple small fleets to strike simultaneously from several directions. The aliens tried to predict human moves, but every attempt failed. Each fleet moved unpredictably, outmaneuvering even the most sophisticated defense systems. The battle was chaotic. Alien ships collided with one another in panic as humans disabled communication arrays and temporarily shut down energy weapons. Entire sectors of the command center's defenses became ineffective within hours. Alien leaders scrambled to issue new orders, but the humans anticipated many of their moves. They used speed, precision, and clever tactics to disrupt the alien formations. What had once seemed like an invincible fortress began to crumble, not from overwhelming force, but from the humans' strategic brilliance. Observers from other alien civilizations watched in disbelief. They had expected humans to be a minor factor, perhaps able to disrupt small skirmishes but not to challenge a fortified command center. Their reports described chaos, confusion, and fear spreading among the alien defenders. The humans were not only outmaneuvering them, they were rewriting the rules of engagement. Alien soldiers had never faced an enemy that could combine intelligence, bravery, and unpredictability in such a way. Fear, which had once been rare among these disciplined troops, began to spread rapidly. As the battle continued, humans also demonstrated an unusual ability to protect civilians and prisoners. Even in the midst of heavy fighting, human squads prioritized the safety of non-combatants. They evacuated trapped alien workers, shielded them from harm, and ensured that their own tactics did not endanger innocent lives. To the aliens, this behavior was baffling. Most alien factions fought without regard for collateral damage, seeing only victory and survival. Humans, by contrast, combined effectiveness with morality, further confusing their enemies and reinforcing their reputation as an extraordinary force. The turning point came when humans managed to disable the central defense core of the command center. Alien leaders had assumed it was impossible. Their calculations, experience, and technology all suggested that no enemy could breach it. Yet humans found a way, exploiting overlooked vulnerabilities, coordinating attacks from multiple angles, and adapting in real time to unexpected obstacles. The core was breached and the aliens were forced to retreat. For the first time in decades, a major alien stronghold had fallen to a small but resourceful human force. This victory did more than just capture a facility. It shattered the aliens' confidence. Their assumptions about their own superiority had been challenged in the most direct way possible. Across star systems, alien troops began to question orders, hesitate in battle, and second-guess their strategies. The humans' presence had not only shifted the physical balance of power, but also the psychological landscape of the war. Fear had replaced certainty, and uncertainty is a dangerous enemy in any conflict. Humans continued to operate with discipline and intelligence. They did not celebrate recklessly or act with arrogance. Every victory was followed by careful assessment, preparation for future engagements, and continued observation. Their goal was not conquest, but effectiveness. They intervened when necessary, supported allies, and used every opportunity to learn and adapt. The aliens, however, saw only the results. Their most trusted plans were failing, their defenses were collapsing, and the humans seemed unstoppable. In addition to military skill, humans also excelled at diplomacy. Smaller alien factions, previously oppressed or marginalized, began to ally with humans. They were inspired by the humans' courage and impressed by their intelligence. Together, these alliances strengthened the humans' position, giving them access to resources, knowledge, and strategic positions that made them even more formidable. The larger alien powers grew increasingly anxious, realizing that the humans were not fighting alone. They were capable of uniting disparate groups against common threats, changing the dynamics of the war even further. By the end of this campaign, the aliens were forced to acknowledge a hard truth. The humans had fundamentally changed the war. What had been a predictable, controlled conflict had become unpredictable and dynamic. The aliens' fear had transformed into a combination of respect and caution. They no longer underestimated humans. They had learned that underestimating them could lead to disaster. Across star systems, the presence of humans had become the defining factor in the ongoing conflict. The humans themselves remained calm, focused, and deliberate. They acted with purpose, knowing when to intervene, when to retreat, and when to negotiate. Their victories were not just about winning battles, they were about demonstrating that intelligence, courage, and adaptability could overcome even the most formidable obstacles. For the aliens, the lesson was clear. Humans were not just participants in the war. They were a force that could change its outcome entirely. The war finally reached its aftermath. Humans who had entered the conflict as observers had become central figures in the unfolding story. Their impact was not only military, but psychological, reshaping the way alien civilizations thought about strategy, courage, and intelligence. The aliens had come to fear humans, yes, but they also developed a deep respect. It was a recognition that this small, adaptable, and brave species had proven itself capable of facing impossible odds and still surviving. Alien societies began to study humans more closely. Scientists and military leaders tried to understand their mindset, their decision-making, and their adaptability. They wanted to learn what made humans so effective, so resilient, and so unpredictable. The humans, however, remained focused on their own goals: protection of allies, understanding the war, and minimizing unnecessary destruction. Their approach combined intelligence, ethics, and bravery in a way that challenged everything the aliens had believed about warfare. Even alien soldiers, once terrified of humans, began to speak of them with admiration. Stories spread of small, human teams outmaneuvering vast fleets of individuals who faced overwhelming odds with calm determination, and of humans who protected innocence even in the heart of battle. Legends grew, not of destruction, but of ingenuity, courage, and morality. Humans had become the standard against which alien forces measured strategy and heroism. Diplomatic relations also changed. Alien factions that had once fought each other fiercely now sought alliances with humans, hoping to gain their support and learn from their methods. Humans had not conquered through force. They had won respect and influence through intelligence, bravery, and cooperation. Across the galaxy, humans were no longer outsiders. They had become a central, respected, and even feared presence. For the humans themselves, the war was a learning experience. They had faced unimaginable danger, adapted to new technologies and strategies, and survived where many expected them to fail. They had proven that resilience, teamwork, intelligence, and courage could overcome the most advanced technology and rigid hierarchies. Yet despite their victories, they remained humble, focused on the future, and careful not to act recklessly. The aliens, once overconfident in their dominance, now viewed humans with a mixture of awe and caution. Military plans had to be reconsidered, alliances reevaluated, and assumptions challenged. The presence of humans had forever changed the course of the war, and perhaps even the future of interstellar relations. They had arrived as observers, acted as participants, and emerged as legends. In the end, humans had not only survived, they had shaped the universe around them. They had proven that courage, intelligence, and adaptability could rival technology and numbers. The aliens had learned that no matter how advanced a civilization might be, an unpredictable and determined species could shift the balance of power. The war had changed forever, and humans had left an indelible mark on every world they touched. Legends of the humans spread throughout the galaxy, inspiring awe and fear in equal measure. Alien children grew up hearing stories of their bravery. Alien soldiers studied their tactics. Alien leaders planned with humans in mind. And as humans returned to their homeworlds, weary but wiser, the galaxy had learned an important truth. Intelligence, courage, and adaptability are powers that cannot be measured by technology alone.